My name is Sabrina Donnelly. I work at the Heart Intake Centre in Pembroke, Ontario. I'm a support staff. I've been there approximately a year and a half, and it's just basically supporting individuals who are unhoused and getting them access to whatever services they may need, whether that's mental health, addictions, housing, or just kind of employment, anything involving their day-to-day lives. What led me to this career is that I have personally suffered from addiction issues myself. I've been clean of all substances for 3.5 years, and I just wanted to give back to the community. I see so many of my friends, family members out there suffering, and when this job opportunity came up, I thought, that would be a chance to make a difference. I've been in this line of work for a year and a half. Previously, I was in the corporate world, and, this is definitely a change and one that I'm finding very fulfilling. When I was in active addiction, I felt that it was affecting my life in every aspect. You live and you breathe, getting your next fix. You want to seek out drugs, you want to seek out alcohol. Everything you do is it's cyclic. You get what you need and then you want more, and you work towards getting more of what you need, and it becomes very similar to just repeating the same process the same day over and over and over again, and it's hard to break that cycle. I lost a lot of friends, both to addiction, overdoses and stuff like that, or people who were getting sober, and I like to say that I lost everything but my residence, everything. I lost my job, I lost my relationships, I lost just even communicating with my son and my parents and everything, that I was isolated and just in that drug and alcohol world. Friends and family thought I was able to just quit. We'll just stop doing it and you'll be fine. Everything will be great. Going to hospitals and stuff like that, a lot of the times you're looked at as drug seeking. If you come in and you're inebriated or you're under the influence of something, they see you sometimes as lesser of a human being, that you're just there, just trying to seek medication or something of that sort when you're just looking to have a legitimate medical inquiry. If you're looked down upon when you're trying to access services and that are not related to your addiction, you get this feeling that everybody is out to get you, that nobody will help you. So if you're going into the hospital for a concern and you're being brushed aside and stuff like that, strictly because you are in active addiction, your faith in people, professional individuals, is definitely falters. You don't want to seek out. You think everybody is the same. When I was working at the Heart Intake Centre, that I experienced some stigma, some unkind words from an individual who was just driving past. And I was just outside the centre. I was alone, and someone driving past yelled out, "Hey, get a job." Even if I was a client there, how am I supposed to get a job when I don't have a residence to put down? I don't have I'm no fixed address. How am I supposed to get myself ahead? That has weighed on me for about a year. I've been thinking about how do we move people through this process? How do we help people? When the society in a lot of cases are coming past and yelling out things get a job to people. I mean, they're stuck. I was stuck. Whenever I was nearing the end of my addiction, I was unemployable. I had mental health issues. I had addiction issues, things that needed to be dealt with before I can get a job. Just saying get a job is not going to fix, the situation that we are in. We need a multi-step approach to help people. I think no matter what your lived experience is, whether it's having personal experience or not, you do have the ability to be empathetic. You do have the ability to understand what is going on, because we can use so many other different situations to relate. Everybody has experienced hardship. Everybody has experienced, certain things in their life. If you don't have addiction issues, put your cell phone down. Think about how many times you have grab for that phone. You've heard an alert. You want to check your phone. You just want to scroll on Facebook, see what your friends are doing. That's what addiction is like. Only Facebook is socially acceptable. Cell phones are socially acceptable. Having fentanyl or something is not socially acceptable. But that is something that pretty much everybody in society can relate to. I have friends that I've had conversations with, and they're like, well, that person is less of a human being. Oh, that person is a junkie, or using, derogatory terminology, when they're sitting there smoking a cigarette. And it's the same type of thing. It does the same thing to your mind in terms of the addiction, the cyclic behavior, but it's socially acceptable. It's fine to go home and have a beer and have a smoke, but if you're ingesting drugs, then all of a sudden there's a problem. I think in terms of dealing with legislation and politics and people in decision-making situations, we just need to keep that dialogue open. We need to keep trying. We need to start showing other perspectives, with these conversations that we're having. We need to be able to take what other people are saying and process it and filter it through our own lens. I mean, we're going to do that regardless. We're all going to filter things through our own experiences. But the key is communicating. Take some time. Let people see what you have experienced. Let people into your life a little bit. Be proud. I mean, I've had addiction issues in my life. I have not hidden that from the world, because I want people to see that there is the other side. The problem with a lot of the people in the decision-making capabilities, they're making these decisions and it's affecting the general population, and then we feel helpless. And, those of us who are in a situation to be able to make some change, we need to advocate on behalf of those who have mental health issues, those who are unhoused, those who are, because they strictly don't have the bandwidth to be able to do that. I mean, they're too busy trying to survive minute by minute, hour by hour. How do we get more on board? I think it's just, people need to spend time. Those who are, particularly those in the healthcare and that community who necessarily wouldn't be dealing with addiction on a day-to-day basis, maybe our ER workers, people who would see people in crisis, they need to get to know some of these folks a little more, spend some time with it. I think relationship building is the key. And just one thing that I want to say about this community, a lot of them have issues. A lot of them have mental health, and a lot of them have addiction issues, but they are great people. If you just get to know somebody, stop. If you see somebody out there, have a conversation with them. You will find that they have thoughts, feelings, experiences. You may learn something from their lived experience. It might be different from yours, and that's okay. But, everybody on this planet deserves, a chance to tell their story, a chance to be heard, and a chance to succeed in life.